What I learned from the book, The Psychology of Money, by Morgan Housel. In this video, we will be diving into the key themes and insights from the book, including the power of compounding, the importance of humility and patience, and the role of luck in financial success. Chapter 1. No one is crazy. We need to understand that everyone has their own unique relationship with money, and in fact, our financial decisions are often shaped by our personal experiences. A person who has never seen high inflation during their 20s will look at money and investing in a different way than a person who lived through the Great Depression. We need to understand our own biases to make better financial decisions. Chapter 2. Luck and Risk. Both luck and risk play a major role in one's financial success or failure. If you want to learn, then, instead of looking for extreme examples of success or failure, look for broader patterns of what works and what doesn't, and learn from it. If you become successful, acknowledge the fact that luck played a huge role, and be humble. Similarly, acknowledge the role of risk in one's failure while judging others and yourself. Chapter 3. Never Enough. This chapter discusses the concept of enough, and how our perceptions of what is enough can shape our financial decisions. Housel offers advice on how to find contentment with our financial situation and avoid the trap of always wanting more. Chapter 4. Confounding Compounding. Housel explains the power of compounding and how even small financial decisions can have a big impact over time. He quotes that Warren Buffett's 80% of his $85 billion net worth came after his 65th birthday, so be patient and use compounding to your advantage. Chapter 5. Getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. These are two different things and require totally different skills. If you want to stay wealthy, then you have to be able to stick around in investing for a long time for compounding to work wonders. Always plan for any unexpected events so that your compounding is not disturbed. Chapter 6. Tails, you win. Statistically, in index fund, 40% of the stocks face catastrophic failures, only 7% of the stocks extremely outperform to offset the gross loss. A good definition of an investing genius is one who can do the average thing when all those around him are going crazy. A few right decisions in those critical times offsets all stupid decisions made over several non-critical years. Our aim should be to stick long enough in the investing game to make 1,000 decisions so that at least 7 of them will have major impact. Chapter 7. Freedom. In this chapter, Housel discusses the idea that financial freedom is less about accumulating wealth and more about having control over your time and choices. Try to spend unstructured time with family and have healthy friendships and relationships. Chapter 8. Man in the Car Paradox. People who seem to have everything still experience anxiety and dissatisfaction at some point. We need to understand that no one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are. Humility, kindness and empathy would bring respect and admiration than material possessions. Chapter 9. Wealth is what you don't see. Housel argues that true wealth is often found in the things we don't see, such as good health or strong relationships. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to go broke. Chapter 10. Save money. Savings can be created by spending less than what we earn. We can spend less if we desire less. We will desire less if we care less about what others think of us. Savings is a hedge against life's inevitable ability to surprise the hell out of us in the worst possible moment. Chapter 11. Reasonable is greater than rational. Being reasonable is more important than being rational when it comes to financial decision making. For example, it has been scientifically known that fever helps fight off infection, but we take medicine to reduce fever. Why? Because fever hurts and doctors choose to reduce fever to alleviate the pain, despite the marginal advantage that fever provides over infection, because it is reasonable than rational. Being reasonable keeps you in the investment game for long term because your emotions are involved, whereas, if you are just rational and are investing solely based on techniques, you would bail if the stock price falls 50% in value. Chapter 12. Surprise. Unexpected events are inevitable, and we need to prepare for them. History helps us calibrate our expectations. Study where people tend to go wrong, and learn some rough guidance of what tends to work. But remember, it is not a hard science. Electrons revolve around the atom in the same way, but people with emotions don't make predictable choices all the time. If we rely too much on history, we will miss few outlier events that tip the financial needle the most. Things change rapidly, and hence the farther we look back in history, the general the takeaways should be. Chapter 13. Room for error. Room for error lets you endure a range of potential outcomes, and endurance lets you stick around for a long time to let the odds of benefiting from a low probability outcome fall in your favor. Chapter 14. You'll change. Long-term financial planning is essential, but things like our needs and desires change. So, firstly, avoid extreme ends of financial planning. Don't think you can live with little income, or spend so much for luxury. Aiming to have moderate annual savings, moderate free time, moderate time with family, increases odds of sticking with a plan for long term and avoid regret. Secondly, accept the reality of changing our minds. A job we choose when we were 18 may not seem right anymore when we are older, and that's okay. Chapter 15. Nothing is free. Thinking of market volatility as a fee, rather than a fine, is an important part of developing the kind of mindset that lets you stick around long enough for investing gains to work in your favor. Chapter 16. You and me. Stock market bubbles are formed not because more people invest for long-term profit, but more people invest for short-term profits. Problem occurs when long-term investors take cues from short-term investors. A teenager trading for fun, widower investing with limited budget, a hedge fund manager investing to meet numbers for the quarter, all should have different investment strategies, and should not follow each other. Go out of your way to figure out the game you are playing instead of blindly following others. Chapter 17. The seduction of pessimism. Pessimism just sounds smarter and plausible than optimism. Money is ubiquitous. Something bad happening tends to affect everyone and captures everyone's attention. Pessimists often extrapolate present trends without accounting for how markets adapt. Progress happens too slowly to notice, whereas setbacks happen too quickly to ignore. Chapter 18. When you'll believe anything. The more you want something to be true, more likely you are to believe a story that overestimates the odds of it being true. Overall, The Psychology of Money offers a thought-provoking exploration of the many ways that our attitudes, biases, and emotions can shape our financial decisions. With practical advice and personal anecdotes, Housel encourages readers to approach money in a way that is mindful, practical, and fulfilling, and to recognize the many hidden costs and unexpected challenges that come with financial decision making.